This weekend was the first time that I've raced e-bikes before. Going downhill was like insane. Like you could go so fast, it was incredible. You could ride it as fast, if not faster, than my normal enduro bike. And then to go uphill, it was just a whole new ball game. Like to learn how to race these bikes uphill was pretty wild. It was a really cool experience here in Varazzi. Definitely scared myself a few times over the weekend, which is always a good thing. And anyone who thinks e-bike racing is easy and simple and for lazy people, then come on out and have a go, because man, this is by far one of the most physical races I've done. Manhandling the bike for one, pedaling uphill that hard, the liaisons and spending 4 hours in the Italian sunshine. It was definitely probably more physical and harder than I expected, and a lot more fun than I expected. It was just more on every single level.
Josh Carlson of the Giant Factory Off-Road Team is our guest today on the Ride Giant podcast. Josh, it is great, man, to see you. I have not seen you in months and months. You look terrific, man.
You too, mate. Yeah, it's great to be at least virtually catching up. I always look forward to our catch-ups pretty much every February at Team Camp and then Sea Otter. So to take that away from us this year was definitely a bummer. And you know, the whole Giant family over there, it's one of the highlights of my year, coming over, catch up with everybody and see the people that make it all happen behind the scenes, and catch up with, you know, everyone who's become my friend as well as colleague over the last, what's it been, 8 years kind of thing. So yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but anyway, I'll take it. This is good enough.
During your quarantining, is that where this came from? This beard thing?
Yeah, I don't know. I go through waves like a little schoolgirl, liking one color or not. And it's on, then it's off, and then it's furry, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not shaving this off. And then I'm like, that's it. I'm shaving my head, and I'm just gonna become a meathead and have a shaved head and a big beard, and then I do my hair up like a little girl and shave my beard off. And anyway, it's pretty funny. It's funny when the kids notice, and the kids will be like, "Oh, Daddy, where's your mustache?" Or like, "Where's your beard?" Or then I'll come out and I'm like, "Oh, your face feels like Remy's." my 3-year-old daughter. Pretty funny.
You look a little like an Amish lumberjack right now.
That'll do.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good.
All right, racing in Vancouver, I had a beard for like majority of the winter because it was cold, and
sure.
I feel like I didn't really hit puberty till I went to Vancouver. Couldn't really grow a beard till I was 25. And then all of a sudden it just comes and goes.
Yeah, you guys were in Vancouver for 3 years? 3 years about? Or?
No, man, it was like six, almost 7.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
Yeah, it was quite a time, yeah.
And is it good to be back in Australia? Do you miss Vancouver?
I miss Vancouver every day. Yeah, for sure. It's great to be back, and we wish we could just join the two worlds together, because there's so many things that we miss and love and appreciate from Vancouver, and then same deal, there's so many things that we love being here back in Australia, and if we could join the two together, it'd be just Optimus Prime across the board. But you know, it is what it is. We're extremely stoked and happy to be back here in Australia, and we've finally like laid down some roots here and purchased a house just over Christmas, and right underneath the mountain, like trails, and the mountain is right out the front of my door. So that's pretty cool. And, you know, being home with family and the kids and growing and being a part of something a little bit, it sounds funny, but being a part of something that's more than just myself and like my career sort of thing. Like we're involved with the mountain bike community here, trying to legalize all our mountain bike trails and build new trails, and, you know, motocross and gyms, and you know, there's such a broader range of people that we're involved with here that makes it feel pretty cool to be home, and it's our home. That's where we grew up, and it all started. So it's nice to come back on a normal level, and it's nice to come back as a professional athlete as well.
All right, so let's talk about racing and e-bike. You have been racing Enduro World Series on a Rain E. Josh, how hard can it be? Seriously, how hard is racing an e-bike?
Dude, it shocks people when I say this, but it's so much harder. Like there's so many more things that have come up in the last, I guess, like 6 months that I didn't expect or plan for prior. When I took on this role, I was excited about the new challenge and excited about what was to come and the racing and the new aspect, but I kind of just generally assumed I would be doing massive days in a shorter period of time. But the skill that I've had to develop, the way I ride the bike, the way I train, the work that I have to put in, it's so much more than ever before, which it's been pretty gnarly the last couple of years. And the EWS has evolved to become this real monster of a discipline. You know, the amount of things you have to put together to become a successful enduro rider, from fitness, from the mental side, from your bike setup to just that attitude of being able to send it when you don't know what's around the corner. Like, that's pretty hard. You can be really, really fast on your local trails and stuff that you ride at home, because you know that if you just loft over that little lump into the gully, then you can jump out. There's a big rock garden and blah, blah, blah. You know all that. It's all second nature. But when you're flying down the hill in Zermatt, it's a 2-foot deep rut that might have a rock in it, might have a hole in it, it might have a goat in it. You don't know. Like, you have no idea. It could be a spectator. In Finale in Italy, towards the end of the year for the Trophy of Nations, we were all riding in a team, and I was leading out and Sam Hill was behind me, and he nearly hit a dog because it ran out from the spectators in front of him, and we're only like 3 bike lengths apart. So anyway, that was a lot to take on. And then now moving into e-bikes, it's evolving into this just wicked, really, really technically difficult, physical new world. That's it's really, really hard. Like, physically, to hold that bike at 25 kilometers an hour, I think there's a common, or what is it, like 20 miles an hour in the US, right, 18 miles an hour.
20 miles, yeah.
There's a real broad global misconception that e-bikes are easy, and of course they are. And for the general consumer or the general mountain bike rider, of course it's easy, because you can get up the hill at half the energy or half the effort and do the same amount of runs. Perfect. So for that general population, and to get people into the sport and people who wouldn't generally do that, it is a phenomenal tool for that. The other end, when you put a professional mountain bike rider on it, well, if that's the limit, then that's what I'm going to ride. So going uphill at 20 miles an hour on a piece of single track is wild. And you're coming into an uphill berm, well, which is usually a downhill berm, obviously. But going into a berm uphill, dragging your rear brake, pedaling, doing 20 miles an hour is just a feeling and a sensation that's taken me a little bit to get used to. And it's awesome.
You are Australia's first e-mountain bike champion, right? You're the first champion in Australia for that discipline.
I think in 2019 or maybe 2018, there was a cross-country e-bike race at the national champs, but I don't think it was actually recognized by the UCI or accredited. So in 2020, I went and took that on and raced my first EXC race, and it was an UCI recognized jersey and a full-on national championship race, and yeah, it was wild. So in the end of 2019, we set up an enduro national championship, which was pretty last minute. And luckily enough, the Medina Bike Park down in Tasmania kind of trusted me to make a course that was specific to e-bikes and do something different. So again, like a lot of people have, you go down the route of putting an e-bike in a normal enduro race, and it just makes it all easier. So say you have a 6-hour day, it pretty much shortens it to 3 hours. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to change it and make something different. So we added a few extra climbs. We added an uphill only stage, which was brutal. That's wow. Like a whole nother story. Like, it was physical, of course, because you're sprinting uphill for 6.5 minutes at 25 kilometers an hour. But the technicality of it was really, really, really hard. Riding an e-bike uphill, like I said before, at 25 k's an hour around an uphill berm into another uphill switchback is really difficult. And it's something that's taken me, it took me a few months to develop that skill to be able to do that. Anyway, yeah, long story short, 2019, I won the Australian Enduro National Championships on the e-bike and the e-enduro. And then in March of 2020, I won the Australian EXC National Championships. So that's pretty cool. That's really cool.
a lot of times when we do these podcasts, we'll ask our athletes to have their bike in the background, but you're in your kid's room, right? You're in the kids' and
I
that's
think
upstairs.
I've got Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, and Power Ranger mixed in with Mickey Mouse and Bobby the Bear. COVID life.
Yeah, COVID life. So, but what bike are you racing on? It's the Rain E, right? That's the bike you're riding now. So tell us about that bike, about the Rain E.
It's so versatile and a phenomenal rig. Like it's probably, well, not probably, it's the coolest bike I've ever ridden since I've ridden for Giant Bicycles. What's really cool about the new Rain E is, and a lot of people wouldn't realize this, but a lot of the angles and the geometry on that bike were angles and geometry that we asked for back in 2016 when we tried to develop the 2018 Giant Rain 27.5 normal bike. So back in 2016, the angles and the geometry that we asked for, it was too aggressive and it wasn't ready yet. Like even for 2018, when we made that 2018 27.5 Rain, that bike was phenomenal and that was awesome. I really, really loved that bike. So to see those angles come into the Rain E just like blew my mind when I heard about it. So, and then to ride it, oh man, it makes it wicked. Now we've made a few changes to adapt to the bigger motor and the lower bottom bracket height, the weight, just to manipulate that, because the bikes ride quite a bit different to a normal Rain. I think that's one thing that surprised me quite a lot was riding my normal Rain 29er in 2019 and then jumping on this bike. There were similar attributes, but it was pretty much a whole new world. The way you manipulate the weight, the way you corner, the way it feels when you're going down a really rough straightaway, the speed that you can carry, the way it jumps, it's quite a bit different. There's many, many characteristics that are different. Same, but different. And you're nitpicking. I guess if a normal person jumped on either bike, it'd feel great. But spending so much time on it, it's been wicked. So that bike's been really, really cool.
And you've had a really good opportunity here to test out Maestro Suspension on the acoustic Rain, as well as Maestro Suspension on the Rain E. Any difference? What do you notice about Maestro on an e-bike?
On the e-bike, I've just noticed we've had to speed up my rebound quite a bit. But across the board, and it also comes down to I'm a big fan of coil shocks in the rear. So from my Rain 27.5 to my Rain 29er to my Rain E, I've always had a coil shock on there. And the air shocks have been getting better and better. And I've really enjoyed the new Fox X2 air shock, which has been great. But I always find myself coming back to a coil, and I love that planted feeling. And I think the Maestro Suspension really gives you that planted, kind of settled feel in the rear end when you drop into a descent or it gets a little bit rough and rowdy, and you can drop your heels and sit into that suspension, and it just feels planted for whatever descent's in front of you. So that across the board, and maybe more so with the Rain E with the extra weight, gives you that comfort and support all the time. So it's really planted. You got plenty of grip in the corners. You got plenty of grip. We've put a bit of a taller front end on my Rain E, so we put a 29er front end on it for the moment to try and lift the bottom bracket up a little bit and just to develop a new feeling for the bike, because it's so new at the moment, and it also like makes the rear stays feel a little bit shorter as well, without compromising the stability. So the longer chain stays with the Maestro Suspension and the 29er front end makes a really stable package that handles well in the rough stuff, handles well in the really tight corners, jumps well. So across the board, the Maestro Suspension's been great.
The point you make there is something that Giant has always done, and that is use our pros for feedback. What's working with this? What's not working with this bike? And I'm assuming since you're making some incremental changes to your Rain E, that you're getting back to our product people with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that sometimes the pros, everyone kind of like, every professional athlete's paid by a certain manufacturer or a certain sponsor. And, a lot of people have this opinion that their opinion's always skewed. And of course, you are going to have a bit of a bias here and there, but we spend so much time on a product that we know that product inside and out. And like the engineers, we're the little furry little things in the petri dish that everyone's looking at through the microscope. Because we think about this stuff and we can feel the millimeters here or there. We can feel a click of compression or a click of rebound, or if your brakes are a little bit off, or like, you know, the geeky stuff that we feel. There's 99% of the population that's not going to feel that. So yeah, we do relay that information back to the engineers and back to our team and back to everybody. And there's a lot of information out there, and it can just go on and on and on and on. You can break it down to tires and pressures and compounds and spring rates and heavy spring, light spring, PSI. It's 10 degrees. It's 20 degrees. It's endless.
Well, so during COVID life, are you continuing to train? What are you doing for training? You look great. You look fit. At least the little box that I'm seeing you in. You look great.
It's a black team shirt.
Yeah, exactly. But what are you doing?
I've still been riding, so I've still been doing quite a bit of Zwift with the giant Aussie Hump Day rides, and I haven't made a few American Aussie Hump Day rides lately because they fall at about 10 a.m. my time on a Thursday morning, and I'm usually out on the bike or on the roadie. So been spending a lot of time lately on my road bike, on my TCR, just to take that pressure off the mountain bike a little bit right now. So the last little bit's been, to be honest, it's definitely been a struggle. When you take that goal away and that focus, it really knocked around my motivation and my focus and my drive. And when the end goal, I guess like my whole life or my whole professional career, you always had a goal to work on. So you take that goal away, and I really enjoy the suffer, and I really enjoy the hard work and the pain, and like working towards something and picking myself up off the ground, knowing that this is what it takes to get where I want to go. You know, and when you take that away and it's just for fun or just for maintenance or just to stay fit and healthy, it's not why I do it, sort of thing. So of course I've been riding my bike just for fun and to maintain a level of fitness, but it's knocked me around a little bit with my my focus and what I'm doing right now, and not to mention there's the risk aspect as well. So, you know, we ride mountain bikes that much, and it's all about speed, and there's an inevitable scenario that something's going to go wrong eventually, regardless of how prepared you are. So I've taken out that risk of like anything happening and jeopardizing whatever season we might have at the end of the year, and moved it towards going on the road bike, riding Zwift, hanging out with the kids and riding with the kids a lot more. And now as we move closer to a bit of a light towards the end of the tunnel, I've been getting out on my mountain bike a lot more. So I still ride my E-Rain like 3-4 times a week, and my roadie, you know, 3 or 4 times a week. So I'm still casually knocking out 15 to 20 hours every week of riding. It's just a different intensity and a different effort to what I was used to coming through the summer.
So tell me about, you know, COVID life with the family. You all, I don't know if in Australia kids are able to go back to school yet, or at least where you are they? Or Eli?
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. They're in they're in preschool at the moment, but even preschools are shut down as well as schooling. So schooling's going back at the end of May, and the start of June it should be a little bit more normal. So in a couple of weeks here, our kids will go back to preschool. Main school will go back full time, and my wife she's a school teacher, so she's been quite affected by that as well. So it's a whole mix. So the whole family of us has been affected, and you know, apart from all the doom and gloom and the negative aspects of it, the positives are that we've been able to hang out and spend so much time together and be home. So since my kids were born, Eli was born in 2015 and Remy was born in 2017, but they were both born in Canada, in Vancouver. I've never spent so much time with them. So like for the first time in their life, I've actually been home for more than 3 months, you know, and I've been here to do the breakfasts or hang out during the day or go for bike rides and do the dinner routine. And that aspect has been really, really cool. It's been not to sound dramatic, but it's been totally life-changing for us. It's been fantastic.
You and I had a chance a couple of years ago during team camp out here to talk about life on the road, because I was near the team rig. You were on your phone, FaceTime with Eli.
Yep.
Eli was, a younger tyke then, and you were really subdued. When that phone call was over, you were happy to talk to him, but afterwards you were really subdued because you missed your family so much.
Yeah.
You missed him and Elise so much.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And you miss out on a lot of those little moments, especially when they're little kids. Stuff happens so quickly and they develop so rapidly. And, when they're walking or talking or like all those little, life-changing moments, you kind of miss a lot of that. So, and when you're racing, you're so focused, you don't think about anything else. And then, so now to be home and see all that firsthand and to wrestle with them and to ride bikes. And Eli's been so excited to go riding lately. It's been awesome. So taking Eli on his bike and then having Remy on my bike on a little kids ride shotgun seat, and taking them up the bush and exploring the mountain and just kind of being a normal person and a normal dad has been, it's been really, really cool. I mean, of course, you miss everything else and you're a standard parent. And so like 4 months in of COVID, you're like, whoa, it's time to go to grandma's. But at the same time, it's wicked to feel that, because usually you come home and you're only a couple of weeks between unpacking and packing your suitcase. So my kids were kind of cluing on to when my suitcase wouldn't go away. They knew that if they woke up in the morning and my suitcase was gone, then daddy was gone. So like they were aware enough to know when I was coming and going, and it really affected their emotions and, their whole life as well.
Do you miss your teammates?
Oh,
you haven't seen them. Oh, come on. Who do you miss most among the GFORT team? Who do you miss most?
Well, as much as I don't want to admit it, I do miss McKay. Like we have spent a lot of time together over the years, and like we've probably spent too much time together. Really?
McKay,
Please don't put that into my face.
have you heard the secret story of the sniffy dog?
No.
Oh, let me tell you. My kids love that one.
Dad jokes for days.
But I miss the whole fam. Like Yoon and I started to get on really well. Well, we got on really well all year, but I mean, like it takes time to like really gel into a positive, nice atmosphere. And 2019 was tough for all of us. We really had some struggles, and we all battled through that together. So we come out of the war ready for 2020. We come out of the battle ready, and now we don't get to enjoy it. So I miss everybody. I miss, the travel scenarios. You're hanging out in vans, driving through Europe or driving through countrysides for hours and hours and hours. So you can't help but become mates with everybody and miss that. You're talking about this, you're listening to Sparky's weird podcasts and chatting to Bailey about the stories of old, and, I miss them all. And like even missing team camp this year and Sea Otter, they're two experiences that I guess you take for granted when they're taken away. And I've been at Sea Otter since 2011 was my first Sea Otter Classic. When I came over I was riding for Giant Australia at that point, and I just met the team, met everybody, showed up, had no idea who was who and what was what. And anyway, so from that point on, I've been there every year, and there's contacts that you make in the whole industry that you look forward to catching up at Sea Otter, and there's always Sea Otter. So now when that was taken away, that was a bummer.
Well, if all goes well, we'll all be back together for Sea Otter maybe this year. If all goes well here in the United States, that's at least tentatively planned.
I have to say a special comment about Carl. You can't miss a conversation with Carl Decker. Like every year, Carl and I's schedules seem to get further and further apart, and Carl was like he was kind of like my mentor at the start of the whole show. He was there from the first photo shoot to the first few races. Him and Adam watched me break frames in Ashland and do really, really dumb stuff and carcass myself down the road, and it was hilarious. We were just talking about this a few weeks ago about, our first trips to Downeyville and Ashland, and who would have thought? But I think that in particular that's something I miss for sure. I mean, of course, we can catch up on Skype or FaceTime or whatever, but if you're in a hotel room with Carl Decker when it turns midnight, doesn't matter. He's snacking on fruit and telling more stories, and you can't help but listen.
We've done podcasts with Carl. We did a couple last year. We've got to do another one because he's just. Yeah. You're right. The stories are amazing. The stories are just never ending.
Totally. He's been there, done that. He's seen like such a huge range of mountain bike evolution, and he's a fan of the sport, and he's a geek of the sport like all of us. So it's really cool, and not to mention the amount of bits and pieces he's got going on with cars and rally cars and projects and bikes, and it's cool. It's never a dull moment when he's around.
There have been times where you have been injured, and I just want to talk briefly about that because it seems like for a while I thought it was me. It seemed like every time I saw you, you had a shoulder separation or your hand was broken. Or did you get through last season without an injury? I think you did, didn't you? In 2019?
Yeah, I think without a public injury, I think the start of the season started pretty gnarly, and I definitely had a few unfortunate scenarios the last few years. In the big scheme of things, it's not too bad. But again, like when you line them up with the years and things that had happened, then there's definitely been a few injuries here and there, that's for sure. So 2018, I ended up breaking both of my thumbs in Whistler in August of 2018, which ended my season. So I thought I'd broken just my right thumb, and a bunch of classic skier's thumb injuries, and broke the phalanx joint and a bunch of tendon damage in there, which was really borderline catastrophic. So I worked out on the right side for once, but that was really, really close to being not a career ender, but a really, really, really bad. Anyway, that one worked out. When I got home, I got that checked out. Turned out my left thumb was also broken. So I was in double casts for the rest of the season in 2018. And in 2019, at the first round of the year, I think a lot of people don't know this, but the first round of the year on the practice of Saturday morning before stage 1, we're practicing stage 5, I think. And as we come out of the trees, there was bunts onto the grass, and there was a bunch of freshly mown grass and a little natural double jump and, through the grass. No worries. Underneath that mown grass was like a 3-4 inch tree stump that hadn't been cut flush, that was hidden. And at the time, there was within about a space of 15 minutes, 20 dudes came down the hill and carcassed themselves all over the ground. So a couple of guys broke scapulas, wrists, ribs. I think a dude broke his leg down there. It was really a gnarly 15 minutes of carnage because they mistakenly taped the track over this tree stump and nobody could see it. So I came down and hit this tree stump, and I was lucky that I hit it to the side, and it kind of scooted my bike out from underneath me. So as it landed, I slapped the dirt and dislocated my shoulder. So I got up off the ground and tried to get it back in, and it took a little bit to go back in. Ran back over to the pits, and that afternoon we had the first stage of the weekend. So Saturday afternoon was stage 1, then the remaining stages were on Sunday. So I ran back to the pits, and I was lucky one of the lads from Giant New Zealand was there, and he used to be a rugby physio, and he helped me out massively, just even with my head, just analyze, having a look at it and telling me what's good and what's bad, and should I tape it, should I not tape it? No, this is fine, you're going to be safe, you'll be right. And man, it hurt like hell. It was up there.
I'm sure.
But anyway, we made it happen and we figured it out. That was annoying, and it was all going okay, but at the end of the race on Sunday, my shoulder was just so fatigued and weak that I had a couple of moments where I just parked it in the bushes and I couldn't hold on anymore. I'd come through a corner and I just didn't have any strength to hold my handlebars. So that was real disappointing. And then the weekend after, or 2 weekends after, in Derby, my home race in Tasmania, home country race, on almost same scenario. In practice Saturday morning before the first stage in the afternoon, it just started raining. And on a couple of these lines that I had, I was jumping through these rocks and roots. But with the rain, I caught a root and it just slapped me straight into the ground. And I hit my head pretty hard. I had slight concussion, but I also fractured some bones in my hands from how hard I hit the dirt. So dealt with it. It was okay. It was pain, but whatever. There was a couple of moments on Sunday's race going into the stages that I couldn't grab the handlebars. So like dropping into, I think one of the stages called shear pin, and detonate was okay. But then shear pin in the last couple of stages, I physically was struggling to hold the handlebars before I even started. So I'm just like in the start chute with a minute to go thinking like, what am I going to do? Then adrenaline took over. You dealt with it, grit your teeth, make it happen. So that sucked. That wasn't cool. And it wasn't a gnarly injury, but it definitely, it hurt.
How do you deal with injuries? When you come back, not the healing. The healing takes time. That's everything. But then when you get on the start block the next time after that injury, psychologically, what do you tell yourself? What do you do for yourself to get back in the race?
Well, it's definitely a process. Like when you have in the past, I've had some really big catastrophic crashes, and they're quite violent. You hit the ground really, really hard. You're going really fast. Those kind of crashes and scenarios, they take a little bit to get over because your head's a little bit, maybe I shouldn't go this fast. The little ones where you get caught out with a tree stump or a slippery tree root when it's raining, it's kind of so silly that it is what it is. The last couple of years, I've put a really big emphasis on my mental training and working with a sports psych and a lot of mindfulness training, and that's worked wonders. So instead of getting distracted when I was younger, I was quite easily distracted and like so excited and you're not really paying attention. You just want to send it like, let's go. As you get older, you realize, and you're more professional, and the risk and reward gets more and more and more. You have to pay a little bit more attention to that. So I've been focusing the last couple of years to really becoming in the moment and practicing on getting in the zone and kind of like filtering through those distractions. So coming back from injury, it's part of my training to practice those scenarios, not the crashing. I don't practice the crashing, but I mean like practice not getting distracted and practice bringing myself back into the moment with a routine and a specific set of triggers that works for me. So when I get in that start chute and there's 2 minutes to go, 1 minute to go, 30 seconds, there's a process that I'll follow that gets me back into the zone. And that's not something that just happens overnight. That's something I'll train once, twice a week. You'll do a 1 minute downhill run, for example, but every time you come back up the hill, you full on practice a race ready zone, a race ready routine. So you've got your full face and your goggles and you'll line up, you'll make a little start chute on my local trail. You'll make a little start chute, 2 minutes, you roll in, 1 minute, you'll get into the start gate, 30 seconds, you've got your breathing and your fingers and you're getting ready. And then at 10 seconds to go, you're on. And for that first minute, you're racing. And like, you can't help but like start to feel those nerves and that angst, and you're like, whoa, whoa. There's no one around. There's no pressure. No one's timing you. You're not racing anywhere. You're just around the corner. But when you practice that, it becomes second nature. And that's one thing that I've been trying to develop to get over the injuries, get over those mental hurdles, and be prepared. So when I do line up on, next to the Matterhorn in Switzerland or top of the Dolomites in Italy or wherever it may be, top of Whistler on top of the world, and everything's on the line, and that's your moment. That's the final stage. You need to make it happen to get a result. You're ready.
I don't want to end our conversation here with ending it with after talking about crashes or what weren't your best days on the bike. So let's talk about your very best day on the bike since you've been a pro. What was the best day? What has it been so far?
Oh, the best day, man. There's been a few. There's definitely been a few. I think Whistler this year was pretty good. In 2019, I've had a couple of pretty good days on the bike this year. Just recently, over this past summer, down in Thredbo in New South Wales, Australia, I had some really, really good days on the bike. The Australian Cross Country National Championships in Bright in March, that was a really good day on the bike. So this last summer, from the end of last season, I made some kind of bigger changes to my program and and put a lot of effort in moving towards this e-bike program, and they've resulted in some of the best days I've ever had on the bike. So they're in Australia and they're not on the international thing, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
But the feeling and the way I've been riding and the pieces of the puzzle that have been coming together have actually been in the last 3 months, 4 months. So that was pretty cool. Like on the world scale, some of the best days I've had is by far in Whistler. In Whistler, at the Crankworks event in 2015, 2016, 2019 as well. They've been sweet. I mean, the 2015 one was bittersweet because it was a day you dream about. You're just floating. You're on rails. You just like, it's all smooth and calm and easy. And you get down to the bottom and you've won the stage by 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. And I had a 45-second lead going into the final stage of the day. And the rest is history. The first corner, I picked up a rock or a nail or something, and I could hear that dreaded, and I'm like, no, it must be a stick. And my tire exploded, and it was all over. And then the next year to come back, and I think there was probably more pressure the year after. 2015 was kind of like, not a shock, but kind of like a bit of a shock. Everyone was like, whoa, where did that come from? 2016, everyone expected it. So I came back and I was really competitive throughout the day. I had a huge crash on the second last stage of the weekend and cost myself about 40 seconds in time. Just got caught in an awkward rut and tumbled in an awkward scenario that just cost me heaps and heaps and heaps of time. So to come back at that, like I was saying, that last stage of the weekend, that was it. I had to pull it together on that stage to make it happen, and I came back to third place. So that was really cool. That was cool because there was like film crews there doing a little documentary on my life with Lisa and Eli. Eli was there that weekend. He had a full custom kit that was identical to my custom kit. Little scenarios like that were awesome, but added to the pressure of the weekend. And you wanted to perform for everybody and get redemption. So those were some of the best days I've ever had on my bikes. You know, there's been a couple all around the world that I can think of, but I'd say the last summer's worth of racing here in Australia and 2016 and 2015 in Whistler. They are the best days I've ever had on the bike.
Josh, great talking to you, man. I cannot wait to see you again. I can't wait to watch you race again. And I know it's first thing in the morning there, so you're probably going to go out and do something. It's near the end of the day here. I'm going to go have a beer. So
yeah.
So I'll say cheers to you here and look forward to the next time we can chat, and we'll be in person, I hope.
Wicked. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's good to see you. And I can't wait to see everyone from our giant family from all around the world. You know, this current scenario has really affected a lot of people in a lot more ways than I think we all anticipated. So one good thing is that everyone's frothing on riding bikes, and there's more and more e-bikes coming up here in Australia in particular and all around the world. And by the time we do get to racing, you can guarantee that I'll be ready and I'll be stronger, fitter, faster, and better than ever. So can't wait until that day.
We look forward to it, man. Great talking to you. Take care. Give our love to Elise and the kids, will you?
Will do, of course.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.